Welcome to this week's episode of Listen to Your Coaches. I am your coach, Mike Wilkins, here with Coach Will Morrow. And today, in front of the camera, our producer, Max Gerald. Welcome to this week's episode of Meet the Producer. So, what we wanted to do this week is we wanted to bring Max in front of the camera, tell his story. We had some episodes in the past. Make sure you check them out. Meet Coach Randy. We had our 15-year anniversary one with Warren.
Done a couple with Lucas.
Yeah, a couple with Lucas. So here goes Max. Max, is there anything you would like to say to the audience who may now just be for the first time seeing your face?
If there's anyone who hasn't seen my face before, hit me up. No, I'm just kidding. I don't know. We'll figure it out. I'm going to not say anything yet, and then we'll see how I feel once I get into the episode.
Max, first question.
Yeah.
Are you nervous being on camera?
Yes. Yeah, I hate being on camera.
Which is crazy because you're so bold off camera, talking so much shit behind that fucking laptop over there. Yeah, you guys don't see just Max is over here like bossing us around. I'm trying to like draw pictures with my toothpick. He's yelling at me. Yeah. All right, cool. So, Will, I'm sure you have a lot of things prepared for Max. So let's start with you.
All right, Max, let's start at the beginning. Yeah. How did you end up at Stout?
At Stout specifically?
Well, no, I guess actually we should go back before that. When did you first get into like combat sports?
How were you born? Where were you conceived?
So I started, it was like a couple of things that all happened at the same time. Mm-hmm. I was on YouTube a lot, and I was really into movies. Like I thought I wanted to be at the time, like a writer-director in Hollywood, right? Super into writing, always loved it, and always loved like movies. I made a couple short films with some friends when I was younger. And so I was like, I'm gonna be a writer and director. So I was watching a lot of different movies, and all at the same time, I started getting clips from the JRE on my YouTube. And he's always talking about jiu-jitsu and this random stuff. And so it was kind of like a couple of those words started rattling around in my head. Mm-hmm. And then I watched the movie Warrior with...
No way.
We've got a little bit of, the backstory here, the extra to be... But yeah, I watched Warrior with Tom Hardy and Joel Edgerton, and it was like I watched that movie like 9 times in a day. It was like I was like, this is awesome, and I don't know what this is, but I want it. Kurt Angle too. We were talking about him earlier. But Kurt Angle was like the first like villain that I had seen like Rocky movies, and I knew about Rocky movies, but it was interesting to me, and I always liked, I would fight with people and friends and stuff growing up. Like I enjoyed fighting, but just something about boxing, it didn't click for me. And then I saw these guys with little gloves, and they were just like doing whatever they wanted, and they were just like, it's just a fight, and they just attacked each other, and they were throwing kicks, and people were getting on the ground and beating each other up. And I was like, that's cool. I was like, that's what I want to do.
How old do you think you were?
It would have been the summer, either right before freshman year or right before sophomore year of high school. Because I remember I was at a swimming pool, like a birthday party for someone, and I remember asking my mom, I was like, can you look up, I don't know if I want to do judo or jiu-jitsu. I just knew those 2 words from the JRE. I just kept hearing judo and jiu-jitsu. And I was like, I don't know which one of those is which, but I want to try one of them. And she looked it up, and I remember sitting at this pavilion, and she showed me like an AI-generated breakdown of like, what is judo? What is jiu-jitsu? And she was like, seems like jiu-jitsu is a little bit more actually wrestling. Judo looks a little bit more like standing up. And I was like, all right, jiu-jitsu looks like wrestling with like some, like whatever submissions were. I was like, I'm going to go with that. My dad knew a guy who had gone to Stout at work, a colleague of his, a guy who went to Stout like years before, who'd stopped training. And he talked to that guy. That guy said that Stout was, he promoted Stout a lot. He was like, it's a good place for him. Nice. And so then the sophomore, what was it, fall of sophomore year, like right as that school year started, I would have started at the Cranberry location. Jiu-jitsu, starting with jiu-jitsu, which
that's like 4 years ago.
Did I have you in class?
No, it would have been. I didn't have any classes with you when I first started. My main instructors were Tanner and Andy. Oh, okay. Those were the guys that I had the most of. But it would have been it would have been. It was 2019.
Right before the COVID, right? Because
it would have been right before COVID.
Like right at the same time.
Yeah. This always surprises people that I started with jiu-jitsu because I'm very much not a grappler, like if I had to pick a style, I'm definitely more of a striker.
For sure. I would say that your grappling's not weak.
Yeah. I was about
Especially
to say, like, you can grapple.
Especially as of late. But like you could tell that like you gravitated towards thinking striking was cooler.
Yeah.
Striking just clicked in my head easier for me, you know. There's parts
It's so much easier.
I think that there's something to that too. I think like something that like you probably thought it was a little cooler. Right, so like you probably wanted it to click a little bit more, like you know what I mean. Like there's something about like that, right? Like it's like you know that little daydream you have going on inside your head. You know, it's like what did you visualize yourself as, and you're probably like you know doing like lookaways and like all this crazy shit. And none of that's jiu-jitsu.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, I liked fighting people when I was growing up, when I was younger, and when I shouldn't have been. Fighting was still fun, and like I would be training. I remember training jiu-jitsu. And being like in my basement, I convinced my parents to get me like one of those Combat Bob dummies. And so before I started training anything at all, I was using this Combat Bob dummy, and I would go in my basement and I would just practice. Like I would look up, dude. So the UFC 3 video game, right? It was the first UFC game I ever played, and I heard Max Holloway talk about this on the podcast, and I was like, he's literally me.
Yeah.
I used to go into the UFC 3 settings, and where you could look at all the moves in the game, and that's how I learned like what full guard was, what half guard was, what a question mark kick was.
So awesome.
So I would look at these, and I would watch these like silhouettes of video game characters throw a question mark kick, and then I would go over to my combat dummy, and I would just practice the question mark kicks for hours this day, roundhouse kicks, all that, and I that's how I started to learn. Like when I remember very distinctly being confused with what the difference was between a hook and a cross. Like the word, I was like, I don't know which one comes across, because like to me, I was like, a cross goes across the body, a hook is like coming across the body. I couldn't figure it out, but I remember looking at the view.
Saying it like that makes sense. Like when you first said it, I was like, idiot.
Well, actually, you guys want to hear some wild stuff about a cross? I didn't know this until Jamie, GSP's coach, taught me this. But he was like, a cross is a cross, not because it's actually not like a straight right. It's when someone throws a jab and you create that little pocket and you go across their jab.
Really?
That's what he told me. I mean, I just trusted him. I think he's right. But I was like, dude, I had no clue.
That's interesting. But it's the same idea, like I was saying with what Holloway talked about doing. Like he would play Jose Aldo and he would just try moves and stuff. Yeah. Same idea. I would before I had even watched that podcast or anything, I had no idea who Max Holloway was. But I would go into the game and I would just look. That's how I learned about roundhouse kicks and, like I said, full guard, half guard, guillotines. I just looked at all those moves and I was like, all right, I'm starting to get an idea. And then I started training. And I was like, so when I went into training, I was like, all right, I have a very fundamental idea. I was like, if one of these guys said, put me in full guard, I can put them in full guard, right? Yeah.
Which is really valuable.
So this was before you started training?
This was before I started training at all. I remember like the feeling I got where I would be like I'd come home from school and I would play the UFC game for like an hour before I had to go to Cranberry. Yeah. And I was like super nervous and like freaking out right before, but I would like play this game to just like kind of calm my nerves. And I was like, all right, this. And I would just like, look through the jiu-jitsu moves to try and like get an idea of it in my head. And then I would go to the gym and do whatever that day was. But yeah, when I started training, like two of my main training partners were Christian and Lucas Zhang. Oh. How do you pronounce his last name? Yeah. I started training with both of them and they both took to jiu-jitsu much more than me. But we all started around the same time. We were like 16, 17 years old.
Wow. That's crazy.
So, Mike, I have to tell you something. Max and I actually conspired, and we inceptioned you to come up with this episode so that we're going to make you the producer next.
I'll be the producer. I would love to sit off camera.
Yeah, show doesn't work like that, brother. Sorry.
Yeah, dude. That'd be sick.
Yeah,
you guys want to hear all my real opinions? Take me off camera. That'd be awesome. Okay, cool. So, you were sophomore, so you're like 15 years old at this time.
I think I started when I was 16, I want to say.
Still young, very young.
It would have been the fall of 2019.
Yeah, and you started with jiu-jitsu. When did you start training Muay Thai?
I started training Muay Thai, so that was when I would like go down and I was like practicing kicks and stuff. It was during COVID, because COVID hit in March. I had to stop training jiu-jitsu for a while. And I slowly, like, over that spring and like early summer, I started to like try and convince my parents, who hated all of this.
Dude, so this is also when you came back, like we were gone. We were in Zealy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I came back when Zealy first opened.
Right, because COVID was the move. Like we moved during that. Yeah. So you like left Cranberry, a jiu-jitsu player, and then came to Zealy. I do Muay Thai instead.
People know.
Yeah. I was like, I would practice hooks and roundhouse kicks and stuff just on this dummy downstairs, so I had like a somewhat of an idea how to do it. And then I convinced my parents to let me try under the guise like, I was like, I'm never gonna fight, I'm never gonna spar, I'm never gonna get hit in the head, I'm never gonna do any of this stuff, please just let me try kickboxing.
Now look at you.
And so then I started either August or September of 2020 would have been when I first started Muay Thai up in Zealy.
Nice.
Had technically Rocky was the first class I ever went to, which was like a rude awakening because this was like when I was in like high school. I was high school and college. Like I wasn't fat, but I was like chubby. Like I was 5'6", 5'7", and I weighed like the highest I ever saw myself on a scale was like 182. Like I was thick. I was a thick boy. I did a Rocky class and I was like, that needs to end. Like this can't happen anymore.
And now you're a 135er.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
It's wild. But yeah, Jonas was like my first like coach.
Yeah.
I'm still waiting for the day we can get him on here and do a meet Coach Jonas, because that'll be fire. But yeah, he was my guy from like day one.
Yeah.
And I started doing Muay Thai up there like August or September 2020.
Yeah. So you're like coming up on 5 years of striking.
Yeah.
Do you feel like you've mastered it and you don't need to do it anymore?
I you know what? I try to put more of a focus on jiu-jitsu now, and then he's like, fuck jiu-jitsu. Get down here for my striking.
That's not true.
What? You say that?
Absolutely not. I tell all the guys to do jiu-jitsu.
I try to put more of a focus on jiu-jitsu, but it's
Don't get me wrong. I want you in my practices.
Yeah.
But I would say pretty much everyone on our team needs more jiu-jitsu.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But at the same time, you know, a lot of the guys on our team need better striking too.
They do. But here, okay, and I hate to say this as a striking coach, but here's the thing is you can get away with worse striking in MMA than you can with bad jiu-jitsu. Like if you have bad jiu-jitsu, like it's just, I should say not just jiu-jitsu, bad grappling, period. Like it won't work.
At the
If you have
amateur
bad
level,
grappling, your striking needs to be elite.
Not only does it need to be elite, it needs to be like, and you need good anti-grappling within your striking, which is like a whole separate art almost. Like it just doesn't work. And also there's like, because of the, you know, puncher's chance, like again, you can just like be an athlete and get away with like poor striking, whereas like you can't, like no one's just like, oh, I'm a monster athlete, I'm gonna win in jiu-jitsu. It just doesn't happen.
Also, grappling's not hard. Just like learn it and do it.
And also, like, okay, so like let's say I teach you a jab, right? It's gonna take you a million like reps to get good at that jab to the point that you can like make it work better than someone else's. If you're aware of something in jiu-jitsu and they're not aware of it, it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like imagine you know like what a heel hook is and someone else doesn't know what a heel hook is. You're gonna rip that dude's leg off. You know what I mean? But like if you're standing up, you're not gonna like discover a strike that someone else doesn't expect. You know?
No, the more I've trained it, like what you said about like, do I feel like I can just be done with striking now? The more I've trained it, the more what you talk about a lot with things being like either an inch wide, mile deep, or a mile wide, inch deep. I feel like jiu-jitsu, obviously like elements of jiu-jitsu, I mean, all of jiu-jitsu, any move, any guillotine, any transition, reversal position, whatever it is, has elements of inch wide, mile deep to it. But overall, I think that striking it's less of a variety of things, and it's just how do you refine those things, whereas jiu-jitsu is like there's just so many things that even if you don't have something perfectly refined, especially like amateur and low to mid-level pro level, if you don't have something refined, you could have 3 other things in your back pocket that the other guy just doesn't even know about.
Yeah, you can change the game easier. So like if you're in bottom half guard and you're like, oh, I'm trying to hit like what do we call those in our system? The Lucas
Leitch half guard.
Yeah.
So like, actually, it's most commonly known like as Coyote half guard.
Okay, cool. So like,
but we came up because like Lucas Leitch was like the guy who did it.
Yeah.
So we like kind of like came up with that
Yeah.
nomenclature.
So let's say that you're trying to like hit one of those kinds of sweeps. It's not working. All right, cool. I'm going to go to like a scorpion hook sweep. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like you can just put someone into a different game a lot easier. Whereas if you're boxing with someone and they're out boxing you, you're like, all right, I'm going to try to keep this more at kick range. Like they might just keep hitting you. You know what I mean? Like it's harder to bring them into a different area.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Definitely. But with striking, I feel like for me, it still brings me joy to train striking, to be like, there's still so many, whatever it is about my brain, I'm sure you feel similar.
Oh, yeah.
Whatever it is about my brain, I can appreciate so much of grappling, even though I know it comes harder to me than striking does. But with striking, it's like I can understand, like I tell people this all the time and I get made fun of for it, but like I can see striking in like shapes and graphs is usually how I do it. I have like different axes and different graphs that I use in my head when I'm talking about it, and it makes me feel smarter than I actually am, I think, because I never did well in math or anything. Like in school, I was not like a good student for the most part. I was like a good person to my teachers. Geometry I did well in.
I was gonna say striking's just
geometry was the only math class I did well in. And like I was good with like classmates and teachers and all that, but just I hated school. Always hated school. And now that I have something like striking, I can like just so deep and analyze it. It makes me feel like I am like intelligent with something. Whereas that I go into grappling and I'm like, I'm fucking stupid. I get my ass beat by someone and I'm just like, man, I'm just terrible at everything here. But it's still fun. There's very few things like when you hit like I remember I was rolling with Jonas the other day and I hit that knee lever sweep on him, and it was the first time that I said it to him mid-round. It was the first time I'd ever hit it where I was like, oh, that actually felt like there was zero resistance. And it's one of those things where like I didn't feel that in striking that whole week. Partially because like if I jab someone, I've jabbed people thousands of times, right? I'm more used to it than hitting a sweep like that, but just hitting that sweep, and when we're learning it, they tell you guys teach us, is like, this will feel like they're letting you do it, you know? And then I hit it and I was like, that felt like you let me do it to you.
Dude, I'll never forget that. It was like my first like, oh, that's jiu-jitsu.
Yeah.
Like, because like I came in with a wrestling background to a certain extent, so like I would wrestle through a lot of things, and I would use like, like some athleticism and like maybe even like being a little more tenacious, like carrying a little more and stuff. And then like I hit like a flower sweep, like how you would in drilling. And I was just like, did you roll over for me? Like how you might do if someone's struggling, you might like be like, oh, and like roll, like if you were rolling with a child. And I was like, did you just roll over? And they're like, no. Like,
when you realize jiu-jitsu works.
And then like that, like it took that for me to start diving into like, oh, like there's like something to that, you know what I mean? Like, oh, that can be like that with several other things, right? Like you know what I mean? And then you start figuring it out, and I feel like the more you figure out about it, the less complicated it is.
Right. You start to discover overarching principles that apply to all kinds of different techniques.
Yes.
The other thing I think that's really valuable about jiu-jitsu, kind of that, is like it teaches you to think about martial arts in a, I don't want to say more complete way, but like the way that jiu-jitsu is taught in the modern, like in like today, is just so much more refined than most striking is, in my opinion. And like I draw a lot of inspiration in like how jiu-jitsu is taught and how people think about it, and like that's how I try to teach striking and try to make it more like positional based. And like, I mean, you guys know how I teach striking, but like I think that jiu-jitsu, again, it just teaches you to think about martial arts in a much more like complete way.
I think for most people too, it's jiu-jitsu is more conducive to thinking about like martial arts in a problem-solving sense. Like I mean, a lot of people do striking, and even if they're good at striking, if something isn't working for them, especially in sparring, it's like I don't want to say like they accept defeat, but they're kind of like, I just need to like keep trying to do. It's like they just start to muscle through their style.
They don't know why it's not working.
Right. People can't identify why it's not working and start to make adaptations and changes. Whereas in jiu-jitsu, it's like you feel immediately. You're like, this isn't working, and you start having to kick into that problem-solving side. I feel like that's harder. I think it's harder for people to do in striking, partly just for the fact that I do think that problem solving on the fly like that is harder whenever you're like, okay, problem, what's my solution, boom, and then you get punched in the face, right? And it's harder to solve problems like that, whereas jiu-jitsu, I think it allows you to think through problem solving situations a little bit better.
You
more
also
conducive.
have more opportunity too.
Well, actually, I think less in some ways. So I think that in jiu-jitsu, okay, let's say that you do a 5-minute round, right? Like, how many positions were you in that 5-minute round? Like
A handful for
a
sure.
handful. Whereas if you're striking, it's like in the first 10 seconds you hit a handful of positions.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
It's so
And
much more faster moving, yeah.
that you're faced with all these different problems, and so then coaches, athletes, whatever, they don't apply that same problem solving mindset to striking because there's so many of those problems.
This is really it's like the Meet the Producer episode, but I feel like I'm learning about jiu-jitsu and striking right now.
I was gonna say, on top of that, I feel like what you said about in the first 5 seconds, in 5 minutes, in the first opening of that 5 minutes, you are within so many other positions than you are in jiu-jitsu. The other thing is, if you're in jiu-jitsu and you're in 5 positions in a 5-minute round, the positions you were in. In striking, most people don't know how many. They just went you'll be striking with a newer person, and after 30 seconds you're like, I just had you in 3 different checkmate positions and you had no idea. You had no idea.
And
you
the
were
other
there.
side's true as well. So you made a really good point. You were like, oh, someone's not doing well in striking, they don't know why they're not doing well, so they can't make that adjustment. But guess what? There's a lot of dudes who are really good at striking and they don't know why. You know what I mean? So then they don't know how to, let's say that you're out
Drickus.
jabbing someone. Yeah, there we go.
Drickus, I don't know.
Maybe you're out jabbing somebody, right? And it's like, hey, you have all these opportunities to finish the fight, but they don't know why they're better. Well, then they maybe aren't able to finish it. Or they get to a point where then they do face a problem and then they just crumble and they turn into the first example you gave,
Yeah.
So what I was saying is more opportunities in jiu-jitsu is how many times can you spar a week?
Okay.
Right?
Yeah.
So how many 5-minute rounds of sparring are you getting, right? Max, you're active fighter. What, you're getting 3 to 5 on Tuesday and then 5 on Saturday and maybe a couple sprinkled in if we're doing something unique. On Monday we sparred a little bit on Monday.
Yeah.
Right.
Thursday I'll get some lower level rounds.
2-minute rounds, very positional. We're oh, let's box on the wall.
Right.
And stuff like that. So you're not getting as much, but jiu-jitsu, dude, I'm getting 40 rounds a week.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because the consequence is not severe, right? In boxing or striking, if you're doing well against me, you're hurting me. In jiu-jitsu, if you're doing well against me, you're hurting my feelings.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's a bar.
Yeah.
I don't know which one's worse. I think I would rather get punched in the face than
Well, long term,
in.
long term effect, you got your
Yeah.
CTE, and then you got you're probably becoming a stronger person. I don't know.
When you're 20 years old, you'd way rather get punched in the face.
Yeah, then
That
have my
same
ego
dude
hurt.
at 45 who can't remember his own name. Yeah, then you definitely prefer to.
2 in a row, brother.
Oh, look at you, Mike,
Producer Mike.
producer extraordinaire.
That deserves another drink, brother. You know what I'm saying? Hold on, there was something else that you guys were saying that I wanted to piggyback. You guys are just on fire. If it comes to me, it comes to me.
I think
Opportunity was the big one.
There's opportunity. I think your eyes
not
lit up.
knowing.
Yeah.
Right? You're oh yeah, you don't know. Whereas in jiu-jitsu, you're okay, well, this didn't go well, so.
Well, also in jiu-jitsu, no one accidentally gets a heel hook. You know what I mean? I might just accidentally close my eyes and huck a big right hand and it could land. But again, in jiu-jitsu, there's no accidental success.
I think it's harder to be good at striking, though.
Yeah, in the same way that okay, so Muay Thai is way more complex than boxing, and boxers get furious when you say stuff like that. But boxing is harder than Muay Thai, in my opinion, because there's nowhere to hide.
It's finite too, or it's less diverse, so you get more.
And again, we were talking about with jiu-jitsu, we're playing a half guard. This isn't working so well for me. Let me try to regain full guard.
Let me throw a butterfly hook in.
Exactly. Let me change the game. In boxing, you can't change the game. Okay.
This is really going bad. Let me turtle up.
Yeah, exactly. You're just boxing. Oh, I got dropped. Let me clinch the guy.
Yeah.
They're gonna break you up. You know what I mean? Whereas if you're, in a Muay Thai fight and you're playing a kick game on the outside and someone head kicks you and you're like, oh, I gotta change this up. You could go clinch. If the clinch isn't working for you, you can get to boxing range, start hucking elbows. You know what I mean? There, even within a striking sport, Muay Thai gives you opportunities to change the game. Boxing doesn't. And so I think boxing is the hardest stand-up sport.
I think also with striking, athleticism and physical attributes mean more.
I agree.
Not that they don't mean anything in jiu-jitsu, they certainly do, but it's more rare. Like, how many people, like, dude, we could just go right now. Like, think about your training partners. Think about people in the gym. Maybe you don't even train with them, but you're aware of them. How many of them are maybe not in your case, Max, smaller than you? Not many people smaller than you. But, like, you get what I'm saying. How many people are smaller than you, weaker than you, slower than you? You know what I mean? Less athletic than you. Like, give me some other attributes. They're everything you are athletically, they are less than, but they beat you in jiu-jitsu. Why is that? Right? Like, it's because, like, there's so much extra to it, right? Like, there's, like, time and feel, leverage, right? How do you gain your leverage, right? Well, there's physical attributes to your leverage, but there's also, like, repetition and understanding, you know, time and position, you know, like a feel of it, a feel of, like, when to push, when to, like, ease back, when to, like kind of, like, how to, like, fish it and stuff.
No, Sam, you're just getting.
Don't worry about it. They can hear me.
All right, they got it.
I don't even need them, but they hear me on Max. But yeah, like, you know, that's my thing. Like, when people are like, "Oh, I'm just not good at jiu-jitsu," I'm like, look at all these people who are beating you at jiu-jitsu. What do they have that you don't? It's just like, there's nothing like magic about it. It's just like, you need to put time in, and like, you'll have your epiphany. Right, like you'll just have. I can't tell you how many epiphanies I've had. Like, and it just completely changes me. Like, from there on out, I'm waiting for some of them with striking, but like, I quit striking. So.
No, you were throwing hands with me on Monday. Still
A
there.
little bit. You know, my elbows hurt still today. Anytime I straighten my right arm, dude, I pay for it.
Was it you who asked me the other day? Someone asked me on the team. They were like, "Hey, back when Mike was fighting, did he ever like throw strikes? Like to throw strikes? It was always to get takedowns." I was like, "Yeah, dude, he'd be hugging hands too."
I think it's because of the way I talk about it, because I'm trying to influence takedowns. Right. Like, I make it seem like, like I just like threw like a jab hook and then shot. And
but also, it's
dude,
MMA.
I stood up for long periods of time.
We had fights where the plan was don't go to the ground. You know what I mean? But also, dude, check it out. As someone who is the striking coach and wants to see knockouts and such, I also think you guys should be getting takedowns, because guess what that opens up? Knockouts.
We know that, for sure. Sometimes you just gotta like get tough too and just fight.
That is a very underrated part of it. Like, I know
it's super underrated. It's like one of those things. What do they call that? Like, there's that bell curve, right? And they've been making memes of it. And it's like, oh, when you first start, it's like, oh, just just squeeze, and then like at like the that's the white belt level, just squeeze hard, right? And then at the blue, purple, and brown, it's like, oh well, you need to adjust this angle and then step off by 45 degrees and then insert your hook and then apply your strangle arm with your secondary whatever, and then back at black belt, so just squeeze.
Yeah, dude.
Right? Like, it's like you go through that. Like,
I think that part of that is like a little bit of an overcorrection from like, now that like, I think that societally, like in America at least, we're starting to realize like martial arts work, right? Like MMA techniques work. And like we make fun of the people who are like, you don't know my mentality, I just see red. And like, we should make fun of those people. But like, once you start to learn some technique, you're like, oh, you also just got to fight too. You know what I mean? Like, that's a huge part of it. You got to be tough and you got to go and scrap.
That's what's so cool about MMA is there's so many, let me get another beer. There's so many like variables beyond just like you initially look at all the sports involved in it,
right?
You're like, well, those are a lot of variables, and then all the styles, and then all the hybrids of all the styles, and then you introduce like, you know, like other attributes that aren't necessarily like thought about in like your skill development, like aggression, toughness, endurance,
deception,
being dumb when you should be, like,
yeah,
you know what I mean? Like, or what's it called? Like, when you don't care about yourself.
Oh, yeah,
like that. Like, sometimes you just need to be like
reckless.
Be like, you know what?
I think technically gameness is the definition of that.
Yeah, that's good.
I think the definition of gameness is pursuing the fight despite the consequences, despite the physical consequences.
I was just reading that book over there. It's like the Musashi.
Yeah.
Well, it's the like complete thing, and in the intro, it talks about how like when Musashi went and started writing all this stuff, he like reflected on his, which actually a lot of the intro is about how like most of the information we have about Musashi is like not necessarily true. So who knows how true this is even? But the same dude, he goes, Musashi, when like he started writing all this stuff, he realized how much of his like winning was due to luck. And I was like, yeah, that's a good thing to know too, is like sometimes being reckless and lucky.
No one's ever gotten like to the top in MMA without like a little bit of luck. Like everyone's really good, but like you need a little bit of luck too.
Yeah,
you know?
I mean, like Look at Ron Murphy and Pico.
Dude, I think it's is it a hockey quote, Mike? You might know this, where they say you have to be good to be lucky and lucky to be good.
Yeah. I don't know if that's hockey. I've just heard that.
Right. Yeah. But like, I think there's a lot of truth to that. You know what I mean?
Applicable.
Yeah.
Okay. Cool. So
back to the story. So we just got to where like you're striking and such. Okay.
My story. Yeah.
this is about you.
I forgot what we were doing there
If you
for
put
a
us off
sec.
on tangents, I think that's great. Like, I want that to come out of this episode
I'm interested.
because like one of the things that I was thinking when he was saying this is like, I was like, he was talking about jiu-jitsu, and I wanted to talk about like how, like, because you train with people who are not as athletic. They just don't have like, if you built a character in a game, like they just lack the points to build their skills that you have. But yet they'll beat you in practice, right? Like specifically in the jiu-jitsu. And like, I was like, this might be enlightening for you to be like, well, why can't you do it? You know what I mean? And just be like, oh, it's just time, effort, and thought. You know?
Actually, along those same lines, I used to. So when I was doing a lot of jiu-jitsu, like over 2 years ago, one thing that I would like to do is do open mats and do every round, no matter how tired I was. Never say no to a roll. Part of the reason I got neck surgery, but you know what I mean, whatever. And like,
Who
just
broke
be
your neck?
tough. I mean, it's me. It was me wrestling up on big dudes that I shouldn't have been doing that on, whatever. But one thing I like to do at the end is my very last round after like, and sometimes like I would dog it out and beat dudes who were like technically better than me for, just being like tenacious and, whatever. I would always do my last round with someone who I knew could beat me in jiu-jitsu and would beat me in jiu-jitsu, but I knew if I fought them, I would just crush them because that just reminds you like jiu-jitsu works. You know what I mean? But back to Max. So you're doing all this striking and such. At what point do you realize like, I want to fight?
Yeah.
Before I started jiu-jitsu.
Okay.
When he was lying to his parents.
At what point do you realize like this is gonna happen? Like this is gonna be real. Like I'm gonna fight.
I mean, I said, I wanted to fight for a while. But like it's not as entertaining as I think it could be. But like I just was in college and I was going through like a really depressive state, and I was finally getting to a point where I was like, all right, that was when I started like really committing to the gym. It's like not a super original story, but I just went through a breakup. I was like super upset. I hated school. I wasn't happy with like anything that was going on. And so my like way of getting rid of it was, I'm like, all right, I basically stopped showing up to classes. I stopped doing like homework. And I just went to the gym 5 days a week, sometimes twice a day. And, I just like basically hid up at Zealy. I just spent as much time up there as I could. And it was during that where I was like, all right, now I need to like I need to get this out somehow. And so that's when I started wanting to fight. But that was just Muay Thai, It wasn't until like I started training like with the fight team regularly where I was like, okay, I can really like I could actually make something out of this, and I could actually do this long term. But also it helped because I kind of eased myself into it because I knew that like even if I didn't fight, I've always known, not always, but like since I started getting good at striking, I was like, I definitely want to coach at some point. I've always liked teaching whatever it is, anything that I understand, I want to teach it to people. I want to show people. And I've always like, even before I was like, oh, I'm going to make a career out of fighting, I was like, I want to be a coach. I want to be a teacher. A coach and a teacher. I want to be able to coach fighters. I want to work my way up and do that, but I also want to teach everybody the way I see this stuff and how it makes sense to me. And so it's like I started practicing coaching and practicing teaching, and through that I was like, well, if nothing else, I need to have the experience under my belt to warrant being able to coach these people,
right?
So that at that point I was like, well, I need to start getting these fights in. And then I started training with the fight team, and I was like, okay, this is really something I want to do. And there were times where I didn't think. There were times like every fighter, I'm sure, deals with doubt and that kind of thing. But there were definitely times where I was like, I don't know if this is really what I want to do. After I fought in I went into like a real bad mental place after I fought the Muay Thai fight.
The OCL fight? The
OCL fight, yeah. Not just because I lost, but it was like because that was like my way to get out everything. And I knew that of all the fights I've ever had, that fight was like so not me mentally. Like I just went into it and I was just like hucking, just trying to kill the guy, you know. And it was like that adrenaline dump after. I was like all alone in the hotel room afterwards, and I was just like super depressed and upset. And so I didn't know if I want to do anything anymore. And then I fought in MMA later that year.
Had one of the all-time best debuts.
Yeah,
that was pretty cool. I love.
It's pretty sick.
There's so many things you could do.
And without the troll in your corner.
Yeah. You could do an entire episode about each of those fights. You know,
we should talk about his debut.
we should.
Dude, it was great. I had a lot. It was my favorite parts of that. I tell people like there's so many things about. I could go so deep into all the stuff I'm thinking like in the cage after the fight and everything, but I love going back and watching those fights, not like to watch me, but I like watching people in the crowd, watching everyone else's reaction to it, and the parts of the corner where you're talking to me. And I remember like my dad pointed out, he was like, they cut to the kid that I was fighting at one point, and he's like in the corner, he's got a black guy, he's got blood coming out of his mouth, he's all screwed up, and then they cut back to you and I, and you're like, we're like laughing, and you're like, grab my head, you're like, fucking get it out of it. And I'm just like, fuck yeah. And I'm like having a great time, I'm like having the time of my life over there. Stuff like that. I was like, I told, after I fought Caruso, it was my second MMA fight.
Yeah.
This is in February. I remember I told, this is probably the real answer to the question you asked. I told my mom the next day. I remember it was a Saturday night. This was like it's not even a year. This would have been just months after I was like, hey, I don't think I'm going back to school for a little while. Like, I think I'm going to take a semester or two off. And I remember being in the back in the locker room. I had my gloves on, and I'm going to restart this while you get the camera. Pause. I remember being in the back, and I had my gloves on. We were getting warmed up. Joao hadn't fought yet, so he was still in the back. He was getting warmed up, and I just got my stuff on. And I remember it was you, the two of us, me, Brittany, Joao, Vince, and maybe one other person was back there, maybe Lucas. And we were all back there. And Joao was getting ready to go out, and so he was on the speaker, and he had like mariachi music or some fucking Mexican thing playing in the background, and it was so cool. Yeah, he was dancing to it, and we were all like dancing and singing along. And I remember thinking to myself, I was like, I'm 19 at this point, right? I'm like, so many other people that I know or that I was around a year ago, it's a Saturday night, everyone's like at a dorm room in a party or something right now. And I'm like, I'm in a hockey locker room right now with gloves on, ready to go fist fight another grown man. And I'm like, I could not be happier. Like, this is I remember thinking to myself at that moment, I was like, this is exactly where I want to be right now.
Dude, that's beautiful. There's a great Henzo story. You know exactly what I'm talking about. Henzo's fighting in Pride. I don't know it exactly, but the gist of it is good enough, right? And like everybody's like, they're maybe before weigh-ins or whatever, and everybody's like, oh yeah, next week I'm going to Aruba or this or that, or like, oh yeah, I would love to be on a beach sipping this drink or that drink or whatever. And Henzo just loses it. He's like, what the F's wrong with you? There's nowhere I'd rather be.
Yeah.
Blah, blah, blah. Yeah. And
dude, this is that. I remember telling her.
Embrace that. Embrace that.
That my family still hates that I do this, but they appreciate elements of it. I think that was like one of the first times where like my mother got a little bit of it, because I like sat her down and I was like, dude, there was nowhere I would rather be. There was nowhere on earth I would rather be than in that like sweaty locker room, playing music, dancing around with gloves on, ready to go fight a dude. I was like, nowhere else I'd rather be. I was so happy to be there. And it was weird because right after that fight, I remember that fight sucked. It was so hard. I was like, man, maybe this isn't for me, you know?
Even though you won.
Even though I won. Dude, I tell people now.
It was a scrap, though.
I won that fight.
Because Val's a goer.
Oh, yeah. Dude,
you know what I mean?
And
Val's a monster.
He's one of those guys, like, it's like, dude, like, it's just like, you got to work hard.
Even if you beat him, it's going to be hard and it's going to hurt.
Yeah.
That fight, I have, like, that's the fight that I have the most stories from still. I tell people now, like, that fight I won, and it's still, I think, the hardest fight I've had.
Yeah.
Even the fights I've lost after that, there was never a point in there where I was like, all right, I'm ready for this to be done. Right. After the first round with Val, I was like, I'd like this to be done now, you know?
Yeah.
But like even after that, I was like, man, is this really for me? And then like 2 days later, I was like, yeah, I'm definitely doing this.
Yeah.
But being in the locker room before that fight was my third overall fight and second MMA fight. I was like, this is exactly what I want to be doing right now. Long answer, but that's essentially like
that's
whenever I knew, I was like, this is what I want to do.
The question was like how did you know like you want to fight? How did
Yeah.
you get to that first fight? You know.
Yeah, it was that for sure. That's what I think about. And I was like, that moment where I was like, yeah, this is what I want to do. This is how I want to live my life here, you know?
Nice. Yeah. So, what's next?
All right, so I'm
a long-
going to skip
long
some
answer
steps,
there.
and we can always go backwards if we need to.
Yeah.
But Max, from your perspective, how did you get involved being the producer here?
Oh, man.
I do want to go back to fighting after this.
Yeah, of course.
Okay,
Dude, I
yeah.
could talk... I could talk about fighting forever.
Yeah.
I remember watching an episode. I was in the parking lot after work, and I remember watching an episode, and you guys were talking about one of the fight nights, one of the UFC fight nights, right? And you were like, yeah, this guy, who did he fight last? And you were looking it up on like the mouse here, and you were asking questions, you were just going over it, and I was like, I was just like, it feels like they're struggling. A little bit, like, just to find like names and like random, not like with
Yeah,
like,
we're doing an MMA podcast with someone who doesn't like MMA.
it was like it didn't feel like you had no idea like what to do podcast wise. It just felt like there were things about the sport, like the media side, about the perception of the sport, like different fighters' names, who this guy fought, just like random stuff that as a parent, as an adult, as a people with full-time jobs, you wouldn't have the time to know. And I
Right,
was
yeah.
like, I don't have any of those things. I have the time to know all of this stuff.
All of that.
And yet you were wrong. You said that it's not like we didn't know how to do a podcast. We didn't know how to do a podcast.
And I came to you. I either texted you or I talked to you in the locker room. I
Yep.
talked to you in the hallway right after a practice, and I was like, what do you want to do with this podcast? And you gave me an answer, and I was like, all right, here's my background. I was like, I didn't finish college, but over the 5 years of schooling I did between high school and college, it was all about video. It was all about graphic design. It was all this type of stuff, and I'm a huge fucking nerd with fighting.
I feel you. One of my favorite things is not finishing college, dude.
It's the best base for MMA is not finishing college.
Be like, yeah, I'm gonna go to college. Psych.
So, do you remember what I told you that Mike and I had discussed?
I don't remember.
Oh, dude, this is
You
fantastic.
I don't remember in the hallway.
No. Okay,
I remember getting a text from you like a couple days later. I was in the car with my mom, and I was like, I feel like I just got like asked to go to like a mafia restaurant where I know there's gonna be a hit. Because you both like put me in. It was the first time that I've been like in a group chat with just the two of you. And you threw me in, and you're like, Mike and I want to take you out to dinner. And I was like, I feel like I'm about to get shot in the back of the head right now. I don't know how I should feel about this.
Okay, so
Where did we go?
we went to the
Beer
beer
Hive.
hive, yeah.
Yeah, beer hive.
That's
After
typically where we
practice.
take people to hit them down.
Okay, so you're gonna remember this as soon as I start talking about it. Literally, like, it might have been the day before, but maybe it was like 2 days or something. Mike and I were talking about the podcast, and like, we've been slogging along. We had our shitty mics. We don't, we still don't know what we're doing. You know what I
Remember
mean?
when we used to just put AirPods in?
Yeah.
For
and
real?
we would put them in the ear
One
that
each.
wasn't facing the camera.
That's crazy. I didn't
One
know
set
that.
of AirPods, like
Yep.
my AirPods. We just pop my AirPods out. I'd put my left one in. He'd put my right one in,
That's
and we just
crazy.
rock it.
And it's not even that. It's like, I mean, it's a bunch of things. It's like, yeah, it doesn't matter. But like, I'm not good. I think Mike's naturally pretty good at podcasting. I think I'm naturally like not particularly good.
I did
but,
another
like,
beer.
But like in tech wise, we didn't know what we're doing. And Mike and I are talking about it, and we're like, dude, like I feel like we have these interesting ideas, and I feel like we have interesting conversations, like when we're like on road trips and stuff. But like it's not carrying over to the podcast, and like we're just like we've been doing it for a while, and like we're just like not very good. We're like, man, and also like it's taken me forever to upload things. Like I'm not a media trained type of dude. Like I don't know how to do all of this stuff. I'm just like doing it. And Mike goes, yeah, man, like, or I was like, yeah, like we need like a producer. We need like some young kid who would like do some stuff. And I shit you not, Mike goes, yeah, man. And just so you know, he was saying it in a joking way. He didn't actually mean it. He goes, yeah, man, if Max was just an idiot, he'd be perfect for it. Like, out of nowhere.
Yeah.
Like, he said to you, he's like, Max would be perfect. And I was like, yeah, dude, Max would be perfect. Like, he knows MMA, like this, that, whatever. I was like, yeah, like maybe if the kid knew anything about like, how to run a podcast.
Yeah,
and
yeah,
that'd be
yeah.
sick.
Later, you came up about it.
And then
That's
literally
crazy.
like 48 hours or less later, you're like, hey, like, I don't know if like I could be like producer, but like maybe I could like help out. And I was like,
Yeah.
I was like, yo, Mike, you're not
It's
gonna
the
believe
algorithm,
it,
bro.
It is.
the algorithm,
dude.
bro.
I couldn't hit my algorithm.
The Matrix got us, you know?
That's
I was like,
wild.
Max would be good.
Dude, and I called Mike like immediately after. I was like, dude, this would be so perfect.
Yeah, that's wild. I didn't know that you guys were that
That we
timing
like
lined up so
premonitioned
well.
you in.
Now, there's
you
another
manifested.
There's another great
bro.
mic bar that comes
I'll be
out
doing
of this whole situation. Do you remember?
No, I'm super nervous.
Okay, so we go to the beer hive, right? It's after practice. You're like shaking, like I'm like, yeah, I don't even know what you're nervous about. Like this is like a shitty podcast. It's got like 13 subscribers.
Yeah,
We
dude.
have 13 subscribers and we average 4 views a week.
Yeah, dude.
And those 4 views are our wives. And then like one fighter will watch one every once in a while and then somebody else.
Someone accidentally clicks on it. So I'm like, I don't know why this kid's nervous. And you start like telling us stuff, and we're like, all right, dude, calm down. And you like start like giving us a presentation. And you're like, I did this and I did this and I know these things and blah 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 and this and that and whatever. And Mike is like barely listening to you, just smashing wings, and he goes, yo, dude, you know you're wasting the best.
Yeah.
You're wasting the best job interview of your life on us.
I do remember that. I told my parents that. I was like, Mike said you're wasting the best job interview of your life on this. Because they were like, how did it go? And I was like, I think it went well. Here's what he said.
It's like, yeah, dude, you could have came in with a weight lesson.
You could have been like, yeah, bro, like, I got a laptop. I was like, fucking sold.
Oh, man.
Yeah. That was my perception of it. That's how I got in.
So you've been on here now nearly a year. That year went quick.
Yeah.
Almost, yeah.
That's crazy. So
Yeah.
here goes. So I do want to get back. Do not let us not go back.
Oh,
to
we're gonna
fighting.
get back to fighting, dude.
My idea. So this was my idea to have this episode. You guys are going to hear this episode about almost exactly a month after we record this, because I will be on vacation, so we won't be able to record our normal episode that we would drop the next day.
I wonder what's going to change in that month.
Yeah,
Is
seriously.
anything crazy going to happen?
Hopefully nothing crazy.
No. It'd be wild if I died the
Be right
next
back.
month.
Oh my god.
Matt, you two start your own podcast. You're like, yo, we looked at the TikTok numbers.
You good?
Good.
You're like, don't let me forget to come back to fighting. And then you said, looked at the calendar. and you're like,
So
this
you've
will
been
come.
with us for about a year now.
Yes. Yeah.
So I don't know how, I'm assuming we all feel the same way, but like you started off like, we didn't have a mic for you
Yeah.
at first,
We
right?
didn't have the Max
But then
mic.
like, I needed to talk to you, right? So like, I would like chime you in, and then eventually we got a,
Fuck with it real quick.
alright,
Hit it. We know where to start.
We're good. Audio is the important part.
it blink in red, it says red up here.
Okay. That means it's good.
Alright, cool.
We'll see.
Alright, so as I was saying before I was rudely interrupted by this bullshit ass camera that Max also brought, so you came on board, you're producing, you're more behind the scenes, but as we needed to tag you in more, we got you a mic and stuff. How do you feel like your role has evolved on the podcast? Like, I feel like it's a like it was.
I tried to do it inconspicuously.
It was a 2-person podcast.
Yeah.
Then it was a 2-person podcast with a producer. Now I
Right.
feel like it's a 3-person podcast.
Yeah.
How do you feel? Do you feel that way as well? Like, are you like, oh, this is my podcast?
Well, I wouldn't say that. Sometimes I do feel like that.
What the fuck's wrong with your camera?
Bro, there's an audio pod now.
Dude,
All right,
let's
it's
just
fine,
go
it's fine,
audio
it's fine.
pod.
We're fine.
They
It's
don't
fine.
need to see us.
Nah, they're
we'll put
good,
a
they're good.
sweet picture
They
of you.
already saw me.
Just, dude, make a slideshow of like highlight like pictures of you.
I can do that. Yeah. That's fine. They already saw
It's
me.
your
They're good.
and you have a whole month to do it.
Let's
Yeah,
just
that's
take a bunch
true.
of like awesome pictures of like other athletes and just put your face on them.
What if we just take a picture of Max every day from now until then too? Like, you ever see those parents that take a
Oh,
picture of their
yeah,
kid like
yeah,
every
yeah.
day, like all the
Yeah.
way through school, and it's
They
just
grow
like,
up.
yeah. Okay, all right. Back to the question that I asked that I can't
What
remember.
was I
You
saying?
answer it.
You said,
Yes,
how much
how
do
has
you
it
feel like
evolved?
it's like a 3-person podcast? How has your role evolved?
Yeah.
What do you see yourself as on the pod?
So that's actually something I think about very deliberately. Like I do think about that a lot. I very intentionally try to not make it feel like a 3-person podcast most of the time, or at least if not a 3-person podcast.
Well, see, this is why we had to sit you down because
I try to make it not seem like my podcast. I very much want it to be your podcast that I'm doing my thing on, I try to not. So there'll be times where it's like I want to interject something into the conversation. I want to say something, and at the very least, I'm like waiting for you to kind of give me the look, like say something, you know, because I don't want to ever just jump in like I'm sitting right here. Obviously, when I'm sitting right here, I'll say whatever. But I try to be very conscientious of the fact that it is you guys are the coaches that we're listening to, right? And even though I think that there's things in terms of MMA and UFC that I can contribute, I know that I'm not the coach that we're listening to right now. So I try to limit myself a little bit in that side.
I feel like we throw it to you a lot, though. At least I do. I'm like, Max.
And I always appreciate it. Like, whenever you guys do throw it to me, I'm more than happy to chime in and talk about this, because I do have fun with it. And I do enjoy the back and forth. And my part in the role, I love that. But if it's just up to me, like we had an episode like a couple weeks ago where I said like very little, just while I was editing it, I noticed it, and I'm fine with that, because I know that that's like, I'm never gonna interject myself and be like, oh, I think you guys should swing to me a little bit more on this, like just to give me an opportunity to say stuff, you know. I try to keep it very much.
That'd be so weak. Feel like I need more attention.
Yeah, exactly. I'm like,
you guys aren't paying enough attention.
It's listen to your coaches.
My feelings are hurt.
It's I try to keep it very much like listen to the coaches here. I don't know what that's like. Yeah, I try to keep it more so very focused on you guys, and I don't need that right now. If you swing to me, you swing to me, but I don't ever want to make it feel like it's a 3-man podcast with listen to your coaches plus this fighter.
Well, I feel like that. Yeah, I feel like it's 3-man. Well, that sucks. Wrong answer.
That's fine.
Whenever we have to do it without you, it's always like, oh, this sucks.
There's no wrong.
It's like we'll just bang through this one.
We'll get through it.
I get that. There's no wrong way for you to feel about it. If that's the way you like, I appreciate it. I think it's cool. Because even when you guys brought me on,
I personally like battling you, like, as much as possible.
I love that. And my people who know me, their favorite part is going through it and listening to Mike beat up on me. You know? So,
dude, ooh, that's a good story. How I met your brother.
Yeah.
So Max's brother, whose name shall not be mentioned, he doesn't deserve it yet. He's got to work a little harder.
I like that he gets the same.
So he comes up he's training at Zealy. He comes up to me. He's like, "Oh, can I roll with you?" I'm like, "Yeah." Come on, weird kid who I don't know. So I'm rolling with him, and this is how you know I'm a good person. Because it's a good roll. We have a good time, you know? Like, I think I maybe like sub him like once or twice, you know? But like, I'm soft with him and stuff like that. And then after he's oh, thanks for the roll. Oh, by the way, I'm talking shit on him. Great kid. Super, super respectful.
Oh, yeah.
Really great kid. The shit talk is out of like endearment.
Yeah.
So whatever, he goes, oh, I love the podcast, and I'm pumped. I'm like, this kid, I don't even know, listens to the podcast. I'm like, that's sick. All right, we're infiltrating the youth. Good. Got him. Hook, line, and sinker.
TikTok's working.
And he goes, my favorite part is when you like give Max shit. And I was like, and then I immediately flipped, and I was like, yo, fuck you, dude, Max. You know what I mean? So like my face goes from like smile to like, yo, like, what are you talking about Max for, bro? And then I start talking really good about Max. And I'm like, oh, Max is great, this and that, da-da-da. And then I'm like, oh, you know what? This kid seems like he's under Max's wing, like he's Max's protege. And I was like, and it makes sense. He looks a lot like Max. He reminds me of him a little bit, like facially, you know, and like structurally. So then I walk over to Keegan, and I'm like, dude, that kid reminds me of Max. And he goes, Keegan, Forsyth, he goes, you fucking with me? And I'm like, nah, dude, don't you think, like, you don't remind you of Max at all? Like, look at them, they're like the same size, face kind of looks the same, because that's Max's brother. And I'm like, what? And I'm like, yo, dude, if I knew you were Max's brother, I'd have beat the shit out of you.
Well, don't worry, because my first time sparring with Max's brother.
Dude, I was there for it, bro.
Did you get to see it?
I was there. I was like, yo, I was like, quit doing that. We'll punch him up, and he would just rip body shots and blame it on Max. He's like, Max told me to do this. I would just like be like, well, I can't elbow you in the head and knock you. I can't.
My brother, who still shall not be named, not going to say it, but after that round, I was doing a round with someone else that same practice, and I walked over, and literally before I got to him, like 3 other people were like, yo, you should be nice to your brother tonight, we'll just beat his ass. And I was like, what happened? What did you do? And I can't. And Griffin. Oh shit. I can bleep that. I can bleep it out. I can bleep it out.
Now you know.
My brother still was like, no, it wasn't that bad. I just felt like I was trying to do
It
this and
wasn't
this.
that bad.
And I don't think
Dude,
it was bad.
it was ruthless, bro. I felt bad.
But
I would
everyone
never
else,
have done
dude,
that,
everyone is
Bro, you
like,
went way crazy on him, dude. No, it was fine.
everyone is like, dude,
He just kept
nice to
knocking him
him.
down with kicks. He kept
Yeah.
kicking his legs out from under
He's
him.
got-
The only reason I had to
soft
go
legs.
hard
Which is hilarious, which is exactly what Vince does to my 5-year-old son.
Well, also, it was because I was trying to rest by clinching him because I'm old and he's running around. So I'm
Yeah.
like, all right, I'm just clinch him up. And I'm like, I'm just going to rest on him. And then he would like pop his hips back and start hucking body shots. And I'm like, dude, you're not going to hurt me in the body. Like, it's
And
not going to
also,
happen.
this is the opposite of what you should
And
be
it's also
doing.
not what we should be doing. And I'm like trying to touch his body with knees, but I can't because his hips are so far back. And I'm like, okay, I got a couple options here. I can either knee his head off his shoulders,
Drop an elbow.
drop an
retreat,
elbow on his
elbow.
face, or let go.
Or I can let go and then just kick his legs
So
down.
I let go and I kicked his legs out from under him.
Which is the kindest of the three things that you could
It
have
for
done.
sure is, yeah.
But yeah, no, that's funny. How did we get there?
Also, a fun story about Max's brother.
Yeah, how
the
you met-
first
how
time
you met him.
you brought him in, you were like, "Yo, that's my brother," and I was like, "Oh, okay." We'll like pretend to be mean to him then.
Yeah.
And I like tried, but like I just can't. So I'm just like giggling, like, "Yeah, you messed that up."
Yeah, dude, his credit, dude. He's like a really like thoughtful question asker and like seeks appropriate attention.
Listen, the kid's awesome, which is why
You know
Max.
what I mean?
One of the reasons we wanted to have this pod is to tell you he's actually going to be the new producer.
But you got upgraded to a chair.
He's gonna be our new 35er.
Yeah. No. Yeah. So that's fun. Do you guys want to go back to fighting?
Yeah. Go ahead. I just
All right,
wanted
Max.
to make sure we didn't.
So far, you've had 4 fights on 145 pounds. What's next for you?
Just to be clear, my Muay Thai fight was at 159, so
That's crazy.
it's crazy. Yeah,
Bro, you're only a couple pounds off from what I fought at.
You're only
dude.
a couple inches off.
It was
of
a big guy.
You know, I once wrestled at 152.
Yeah.
One tournament.
When you were what in high school?
Yeah, I was 18.
Yeah.
You know, I once wrestled at 133 as a full-grown adult. No, I wasn't
No,
full-grown. But
okay.
I was a freshman in college.
Okay. I've seen pictures of you like back when you were like,
Real small.
yeah, you used to be a little guy.
We were at
Me and Jonas are all 45 club.
Yeah, that's right. We all debuted at 45.
Yeah, all baby weights.
I was at the Mat Factory. As I said, guys, this is coming out a month later because I'll be on vacation. I was at the Mat Factory 15-year anniversary today. What's the whole point of this? I can't remember anymore. Can't remember the
Talking about
reason.
45.
Dude, forget it.
You were a little
No one
guy.
cares anymore, dude.
It's fine.
Oh, small.
Yeah.
Some about being small and then getting big. Oh, Sage. Sage was telling some of our team who was there, like me and him used to be the same size. He was like, yeah, remember when we used to do this flipping stuff? Like there would be like a round of us like just doing cartwheel guard passes and diving Kimuras and flying arm bars.
Yeah.
Right. He's like, yeah, that was back when me and you were the same size and stuff. And they were like, ah, and he was like, no, like we were like the same size.
That's
I
wild,
don't
dude.
believe that.
Yeah, I was like 170, 175.
Sage is 170?
Sage was 160. 170, 160. That's the same
close
size.
enough. Close enough.
Yeah.
Yes, but I interrupted you. I was like, yeah, I fought 59. You saw the guy I fought. He was like, he cut to get to 59. In hindsight, probably shouldn't have done that. But
59.
yeah, 59. He was like 5'11" with abs. He was a big guy.
You looked
I
good in
hit-
that fight, though.
I hit him with a right hand. I rewatched it the other day because I was like looking through old fights. Dude, I hit that guy, Ed Peterson. He hasn't fought since, but I hit him with a right hand, and to his credit, that like spun his whole face around. That might be the hardest I've ever hit someone in a fight. He just, he kind of looked at me funny for a sec, but he was fine. But yeah, big dude, 59, and then 45. All the rest of the 4. You were saying?
And what's next?
Oh, 35.
You going
is
back to
next.
55?
Yeah, we're going up. I'm bulking right now, in case you can't tell.
He's actually pulling a McGregor. He's skipping straight to 70.
Right.
Dude.
That's the one thing that could change. Like, he could fight between now and this episode.
That's what I was thinking.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like a short notice. I mean, we were just literally Thursday
Yeah.
morning?
Yeah, Thursday morning.
Thursday morning, we were looking at a short notice opportunity that dissipated immediately. I was like, hey, do you still have this 135er? And they were like, no.
Did you ever figure out who that was or no?
No.
No. I'm just
No.
curious.
Yeah.
Yeah, Joao Martinez trying to speak evil whispers in my ear trying to get me to go short notice with him. But yeah, no, a lot of things could change. But next one's definitely going to be 35, unless it's like some short notice catch weight type thing, like we were talking about.
Well, yeah. I mean, if it's short notice, then it might.
From here on out, I consider myself a 35er.
I mean, you're walking around at 139, like.
You're definitely a bantamweight.
139 wet. Yeah, no, I knew I was a bantamweight like before I started fighting 45. But I was chubby and weight cutting sucks. But then like I fought Drew and I was like, oh, he's a little bit bigger than me. You know,
Drew's a big dude.
Drew's a 45er.
Yeah,
you know, he's fought at 55. And I remember like I didn't think he was that big. But then Lucas was like sending me, dude, Lucas, did I tell you about this like backstage? Bro, I almost like hit him. Lucas is backstage with us the night of the fights when I'm about to fight Drew. And so like, I'm not like nervous or anything, but like, I'm a little bit nervous. I'm getting ready to go fight this guy. And it's like a big fight. I've been super excited for this opportunity. I'm finally fighting in the convention center, which I've wanted to fight in since like before I started fighting.
Yeah.
And I'm like getting ready to fight, and Lucas comes back, and the first thing he says to me is, he's like, "Yo, from now on, you're a 35er." It's like Drew looks massive next to you, and I was like, "Thanks, man. Appreciate the good luck."
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I was
told me that after.
I was like, "What the fuck, dude?"
Yeah.
I'm
That
like
would have hit the same after.
Yeah,
funny.
exactly.
It's funny hearing that you didn't like realize how big he was, because like I knew going in, I was like, I thought that you knew like, oh, this is a David versus Goliath match, because like I've sparred Drew. Like
No, I knew
know Drew. You know what I mean? Like
I thought I
knew
actually
he's a big dude.
I went through like almost like a bell curve type thing where I thought he was going to be bigger than he was, and then I faced off with him, and I was like, he's bigger than me. But then I remember it was the only time I've done this. The night of the fight, like an hour before we fought, I saw him standing behind me. I was watching Tyler Fleming fight, and I saw Drew behind me, and we like went up to each other and like dapped each other up, just good luck, have fun, that type of thing. And when he did that, I remember thinking, I was like, he doesn't feel that much bigger than me. And then I remember watching the fight after, and I was like, no, he was definitely bigger than me. So I kind of went like up and down on it. But when I accepted the fight, I knew like going in, I told you I remembered seeing him, and I was like, he's definitely much bigger than me. But whatever coping it was, I just saw him, and I was like, nah, I can do that. He's not that much bigger.
Right.
Fuck it, you know.
Well, also fighting bigger dudes isn't necessarily like a bad thing. You know what I mean? Like,
no, not always. I think for him, me and him fighting that stylistic matchup, I think it definitely benefited him a lot, just because he's a come forward, absorb what you're hitting him with pressure fighter, and when you have a weight class of size on top of that, and my style is much more like I'm gonna out footwork and move and find my shots and not just hang out on the outside, but like I like to make things look cool. I like to make things look pretty and smooth, you know. And he's like, fuck that, I'm coming forward, you know. And then he's got a weight class above me, and like that's a little bit of a tougher one, but not like I wouldn't take the fight again, you know. I'm glad I took that. I had a lot of fun in that fight. Yeah. That's the most fun I've ever had in a fight for sure. Which is weird. Like I said, even though I lost that fight, favorite fight I've had.
Yeah.
Beat Caruso, hated that fight.
Worst fight. Yeah.
Sucked, dude. Sucked so bad. I tell people, I remember one of my favorite parts of the Caruso fight in hindsight was going back to in like not enjoying it. You can see on 247 on the replay of it, I love this shot. Like right as the first round ends, like the first round was crazy. I dropped him like twice, and then things were going well. But in that sequence where I dropped him, he gets up and he comes. I like pressure him because I can hear Will yelling our code word for like go, 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 get him. And so I'm running at him, and he hits me with a right hand, and I'm like, dude, he's still alive. Like, what is going on? And then he clinches me, and I go to break off the clinch, and he throws in a knee up into like my solar plexus. It like lifts me off the ground for a sec, and you can see it in the replay. Like picked me up, and nobody realized how bad I was hurt. That was the most hurt I've ever been in a fight. I got dropped by a head kick, and it was still the most hurt I've ever been in a fight. Was with this solar plexus knee, and I remember just looking at him, and I could hear Will in the corner yelling. He's yelling our code word. He's like, "Get him, get him!" And I'm just like, "I'm not going anywhere right now, dude." I'm sitting right here for a sec, man.
Yeah.
And we're still fighting. And I remember as soon as that round's over, I get like, you get set down the stool, and then I sit down, and I always face the cage, and usually I like grab up on the cage, and I'm looking at you, and he's next to me, and we're doing our thing. And I remember this time he came in and set the stool down, and I didn't look at the stool. I didn't look at you. I got right up in Will's ear, and I was like, "That knee really fucking hurts." And then I sat down. I was like, "I just need everyone to know that really sucked." That was the first thing I did. I think that's funny now in hindsight.
Yeah.
Speaking of between rounds, we'd mentioned it, but from your perspective, how was your first fight in between rounds?
Oh, yeah.
I didn't even think about it the first round. After the first round, first of all, we didn't get locker rooms at the Hollywood Casino, right?
No, there's just like tents in the back.
They put us in the parking garage in October.
Yeah.
So
it's that one. Okay.
we're trying to get warm in the back.
Yeah.
And I'm like blowing, like I can see my breath every time I exhale. And I remember being in the back. And in hindsight, I get it. But at the time, I didn't understand why. But I remember after we did the warm ups, I'm on deck getting ready to walk, and Anthony Hogaback is like standing back there, and he's just like putting his hands up by his face, and he's like, just touch, like just feel stuff, and I'm like, all right, like no big deal. And I remember I stopped at one point. He like hit me. He's like, no, keep going, keep going. He was just trying to keep me warm because it was so cold.
Yeah.
At the time, I didn't get it, but like now, I'm like, dude, they put us in a freezing environment for the warm ups.
I don't even know if you noticed, but like the fight was outside too. It was just a tent.
Yeah, it's just a tent.
Yeah, the whole thing's in a parking lot. That's how they could have all ages in.
That makes sense.
Casino, because it's not really in the casino; it's in the parking lot.
But yeah, I was like, so I was already not like thirsty, but like I felt that cold air in my lungs, you know. But I did the first round. I got hit once or twice in the first round, maybe. And I was obviously I was confident that I won the first round, but I wasn't thinking about water or anything.
Right.
The second round's over, and I remember sitting down, and I was like, all right, second round, I started turning it up a little bit more, and I was like really starting to feel that flow. And I said to you, whenever you guys were giving me instructions, I said to you in the corner, I was like, I looked up at Mike, and I'm like, can I have some water? And I remember very distinctly him looking at me and smiling and be like, no, I'm doing a joke right now. And I was like, I don't know what the fuck that means, but okay, man, do your joke. I was like, whatever, man.
All right, so here's the joke. This ties back into Max's like main coach, Jonas. So Jonas is very much into having water, right?
All the water.
We're entitled to our water.
He believes people are entitled to water, which you are not entitled to water, and I have proven that by not giving people water when requested. So Jonas, in his career, there have been multiple times where we're in the corner of one of his fights, and I'm giving incredibly valuable instruction.
Not fire.
Not just like because I think I'm going to give good instruction, because it had been proven after the fact that this instruction is why you won the fight. And this is not a one-time occurrence. This was at least 3 times with Jonas. And Jonas was like, it's so hot in here. Give me some water. And I'd be like, dude, like, you're thinking about water? Like, bro, like you're getting beat up right now. Like, you should win this fight. Here goes what you should do. And one time I was like slow pouring water, and he smashed the bottle to like get it to squirt towards him. But yeah, so like Jonas has this thing about water, and I have this thing about not giving him water. We're entitled to our water. And Max is like Jonas's protege, and it's Max's fight, and he's dogging this dude. He's walking him up. And it's in between the first and second round, and I don't give Max water, right? Max doesn't notice. Will doesn't notice. We sit down. I go to Will. Hey. He's like, what's up? I'm like, I didn't give him any water. And he's like, that's fine. Right? And I'm like, no. Because like Jonas, like, isn't that funny? And we're like, oh yeah, that's funny, right? So Max dogs him up in the second round. We go, and Max is like, can I get some water? I'm like, sorry, bro, no can do. No can do.
I was like so relaxed by that point. I just kind of smiled. I was like, all right, whatever, do your thing. In the back of my head, I'm like,
fight, if there was any type of like
adversity
or whatever, you were just like on such a flow level.
Yeah,
I was like, yeah, dude, this sip of water is not gonna change.
If you'd have done what you'd already done to that kid for 2 rounds, and then for 2 more minutes you lost, it's not because you didn't get water.
Yeah. Plus, dude, in hindsight, it's been proven. Like, you know, it's after the fact. It was the right thing to do.
I didn't even tell you. I don't think I've ever told you about this, but there was an issue with water in my first fight too when I fought Muay Thai.
No,
Dad, have I talked to you about this?
That's not on us. So where were we at? We were somewhere else.
Yeah, you guys were in West Virginia with Lucas. That was when he fought.
That was Lucas's
Starcher.
amateur title fight. He fought Starcher.
Oh yeah.
And then he won by TKO.
That's the kid's
And that-
brother who Luke.
Then Luke Martin fought.
Okay, yeah. They are funny.
But yeah, you guys. That was my corner. Was it was Jonas and Keegan Forsyth. And Keegan is like he understands striking, but he's by no means a striker. He's a grappler. So he was basically there with like giving me water and ice and that kind of thing. And Jonas was the one who I was talking to. But I remember after the first round, I sat down on the stool and Jonas is in front of me. He's talking to me, and Keegan, it was his first time cornering, right? And so Keegan's got the water and he's like over my right shoulder, and Keegan comes over and he like gives me a little bit of water, and Jonas is talking to me and he gives me like a little bit of water, but a drop of water, right? And he takes the water away and I'm like, I want more water. And so I look over my shoulder and I like have my glove on. I gesture to Keegan. I'm like, give me more water. And he comes over and he gives me he just gives me a little drop of water and like barely anything. And he takes the bottle away. And at this point, I'm like, I'm not getting any fucking water. I want my water, right?
I'm
entitled. So I'm entitled to my water. And Jonas had to feel like you in this moment. I can't believe I never told you this.
Oh, I love
Jonas
this.
is in front of me, giving me instructions the same way you were. He's like trying to tell me what to do. He's giving me all this game plan stuff, and in the middle of him talking to me, I look over my shoulder at Keegan, and I'm like, "You're not giving me any fucking water." You can see me on the replay. I look at him, I'm like, "You're not giving me any fucking water, man." And Jonas grabs the bottle from Keegan, pulls it in front of me. He looks at me, and he like tilts my head back, and he just dumps the whole bottle in my mouth, and you can see me go like, and, like choke on the water. And so now he's talking to me, and I'm like spitting out the water on the side. And I tilt my head over the stool. I'm like. Like letting the water like pour, because he tried to waterboard me in the middle of the round.
Yeah.
And now he like gives the bottle back to he's like still yelling stuff at me, and I look back up at him and I'm just like okay, and I'm like drowning in the middle of this corner advice here, and he jumps back up and goes over. And after the fight, he was like, "Yeah, I'm sorry for like trying to drown you," like in between rounds right there. But yeah, it wasn't
That's
until
awesome.
the Caruso fight where I had like
The
stable
proper
water.
amount.
Yeah, the proper amount of water.
Dude, that also reminds me. I remember. I don't know if I like saw some corner or some coach was like giving advice on like what you should do with water in the corner. You're gonna remember this, and they were like, "Hey, like whenever you get in there, just give the water to the fighter, and they'll just sip it on the round." And I was like, "Yo, Mike, I just learned this thing. Like, I think this is a good idea. We'll try it out." Dude, we started giving fighters water. Dude, does not work out.
How'd they mess that up?
Okay, first off, most of them would just hold it. And they just don't even realize they have it. And like, they'll be like, "Yo, can I get some water?" And you're like, "Yeah, you're holding it." And then some of them will just chug the water and like not pay attention to you. And then also, for whatever reason, if you have the water and you just put the cap on, it's not hard. But if they are handing it to you and you're trying to get the cap on, it takes like 5 minutes. And the commission is not happy with that. And then like I'm doing this for like a couple fights and Mike's like, "Dude, cut it out. Stop giving the fighters the water."
I could see that.
Or you'll be like trying to leave and they're just like, "All right."
Do you
just
know
like
what
hang
we
on to
can
it.
do that like we might want to think about doing is you can take a seat, because so for anybody who doesn't know, the water that you have ringside has to be sealed until you arrive ringside and the inspector watches you open it, right? But you can pour it in like a squirt bottle if you wanted. Maybe the squirt bottle would be
Put
the
it in like a
move.
baby bottle.
That may be the move. That way
Like
we're
a
not.
Gatorade, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
a football player style. Like,
Yeah, that's a good
And then
idea.
that way we're not screwing it back on. That's a great
yeah,
idea,
you
actually.
squirt it or whatever. But then, like, do you have to show them that this Gatorade bottle was empty before we poured the water in it?
Almost certainly.
Yeah. Yeah. Hey, do you want to try it?
We'll figure it out. Yeah.
Should we debut
good
it with
idea.
Max? And then I'll just squirt all over his face.
waterboard him again?
Dude.
Punch him in the
I
neck.
forgot I never told you that.
Yeah, dude, that's hilarious.
That's awesome.
I like that. All right, Max. So we're trying to get you in the cage ASAP. Ideally, maybe if we're not doing a short notice, I guess we're looking October 11th.
October 11th, yeah. That's what I'm
But
hoping.
really, anything that comes up, we're looking at jumping on, getting this going. Short term, long term. What are the goals?
I mean, short term goals have been tough. We at the beginning of every year we get those. You collect from the fighters your goals for the year, what you want your goals to be, and I've had the last year I've had some health things that have held me back a little bit, which is frustrating. But I'm still hoping I can get 2 fights in this year, and early next year I'll come up under Jonas. He felt the same way. I want an AMI title, right?
Yeah.
I want an AMI title. I want to be able to hold something above my head. So that's definitely what I want, right? I want to get that within the next, like, I don't know, within less than a year, right? Within the next like 8-10 months, I want to be able to do that. Right now, in MMA, I'm 2-2, and I wouldn't feel comfortable fighting for a title until like at the very least 4-2, if not 5-2. Right?
I agree.
I feel like anyone fighting for a title when they're 500 or 1 or 2 removed from 500 is like, what's that title mean? You know? And I want it to mean something. But beyond that, I just want to, like, short term, I want to stay exciting. You know, I feel like I haven't, and I've heard this from other people too, which is always nice, but wins and losses, I don't feel like I have any boring fights. I don't feel like I have any fights that aren't fun to watch and exciting. And I know that that's one of the things that gets you a long way in the sport, is being entertaining. Because
Sure does.
at the end of the day, I view myself as a person, as a fighter, but as a commodity, I view myself as an entertainer.
Yeah.
Right. Maybe not as much as someone like, you know, Kyle O'Hare. I don't have the dancing, you know, my hips don't quite do what his do, but I feel like I can put on good fights. I feel like I can put on fun fights, and I can, kind of what you were saying earlier, like I can go in there and scrap, right? And I that's short term. That's what I want. I want to be known for being entertaining and be appreciated. And like one of the things I've listened to you, I've heard you talk about a lot more recently is just like, I value my reputation a lot more now. I feel like that's something that I really only started feeling like within the last year or so, whenever I started figuring out that this was going to be one of my avenues in life, was fighting. And I'm like, I want to be respected in the sport. You know, I want to be respected in the game. Long term, obviously I want to go pro. Everyone wants to make it to the UFC. I want to make this a profession, you know, long term. I want to coach, I want to teach. That's where I'm going to be for most of my life, right? Say I fight till I'm, I don't know, 36, 37, you know, I want to be able to coach long after that, right? I want to be able to teach, and because that's something I really love. I feel like a lot of people just want to fight. Power to you, but like I don't want to just fight. I want to coach successful fighters, and you know, give them the things that that I can see and the way I can understand parts of the sport. So obviously you want to go pro, you want to be a perfect fight, or want to go pro, want to get to the UFC and everything. But long term, in terms of being pro, like I tell people now, I want to be as perfect a fighter as I can be. Mm-hmm. I'm not so worried about people are like, oh, I'm going to be UFC champion, or I'm going to be, you know, LFA champion, or I'm going to make it to the UFC. I'm going to make it to PFL, all these things. I'm like, what we talked about earlier, right? You got to be a little bit delusional to be a successful fighter, but I just have to accept the fact that I am also self-aware, and with that comes like, I know that there needs to be some luck involved, right? I know that I have to get a little bit lucky here and there to make this work. The one thing that doesn't involve as much luck is what kind of skills I develop as a fighter. And so I'm like, if I can make myself as perfect a fighter as possible, if I can look at all the elements of mixed martial arts and all the elements of MMA, mental, physical, skill, attributes, abilities, all that stuff, and I can get all of them as close to 100 as possible, that everything else will come with it, right?
Mm-hmm. Right.
And if it doesn't, then it's out of my control. Mm-hmm. The things that are within my control are my skill set, my mentality, and that's working towards being a perfect fighter.
Yeah,
right? That's what I want to do.
You can let the pieces fall where they will.
I want to be as perfect a fighter as I can be.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. There's like, man, that's super insightful. There's like avenues that I've got, or like hills that I've climbed and stuff, like with that same mentality, and it's like, dude, I just want to be the champion, you know. And then it's like, no, I just want to be the best I can be, right? Mm-hmm. And then it's like, oh, like, do you want to be like what's true and honorable, and like, do I want to be true and honorable, you know? Like, so like one of my thoughts is like, okay, I want to go out and compete to the best of my ability, and if somebody is better than me, I actually don't want to beat them.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like if I don't want to win by accident.
Right.
I don't want to win because
a fluke, an injury.
What we're saying about the
something
record.
like that. Yeah, you know what I mean? Like, yeah, I want to be champion, but I want it earned.
And I feel like if I say right now, I can either say my goal is to be the perfect fighter, or my goal is to be UFC champion, right? Say I make it to a UFC title fight, and in the first 15 seconds of the fight, I get eye poked so bad that my retina rips, It's destroyed. They call off the fight. Then I'm booked in a rematch. I blow up my knee in training. Maybe I don't get another title fight immediately, and then I have another fight. Like, does that mean that at that time I wasn't better than the guy holding the belt? That I wasn't good enough to be champion? No, just
Right.
bad luck, right?
Yeah.
But if that was my goal, if my goal was to be UFC champion and I didn't achieve it because of those circumstances or that bad luck, does that mean I failed? Like, so because that was my goal, my whole life now, everything I've worked towards is a failure.
Yeah.
Is that what I'm saying to myself? Or can I say, I'm going to be the perfect fighter? I'm going to make myself as good as possible. I'm going to make my mentality as stonewalled and solid as possible and keep working my way up. And then what if I get to that title fight and I get my eye poked out? Like, it didn't ruin any of my goals. I'm
Right,
still the
yeah.
fighter I want to be. I'm still able to work towards what I want to do.
Yeah.
So part of it, I think, setting goals is, for me, setting goals has always been tough because I said, I try to be a realist a lot of times, and a lot of people's goals I think aren't super realistic. I try to set goals that are going to be not just realistic and attainable, but it's like, I can set that goal, me being the perfect fighter, and no matter what I do, as long as I'm in pursuit of that goal, I'll be bettering myself, and there's no way for me to fail.
Yeah.
Unless I just actively don't try to be as good a fighter, as strong a mentality as I can have. Right.
That's super important, and you're learning that really early. So like I'm real big on goals and like writing them and everything, and like I have like yearly goals and life goals and all. I've got documents and documents full of it. And I remember specifically with fighting, like I mean I got all kinds, but like in fighting when I was younger, I would have goals where I'm like, I want this fighter to achieve this or this fighter to do that or whatever, and then things outside of your control take over, you know what I mean? Even outside of their control will take over.
Yeah.
And then you're like, oh, well, my goal can't be reached now and has nothing to do with what I did. And so I'm like, okay, I need to learn to restructure this. So it's strictly on like, what can I control? And it sounds like you've got that down. At a very young age. Took me about another decade to figure that out.
I remember like at the beginning of 2025 when you guys texted me and you're like, what are your goals for this year? I remember thinking, I was like, this is one of the first times in my life where I've had to like just openly declare what my goals are going to be and write them down, and especially like submitting them to someone else. I think that next year, like 2026, whenever I do that again, my goals are going to be much more, not lower, but more like, it's going to be more about learning and things that I'm 100% in control of, right? So that I could still not attain those goals, but if I don't attain those goals, it's my fault.
Right.
It's because I did something wrong.
And it sounds like you're talking about things that are process driven as opposed to results driven. And I think that sometimes people look at this as too much of a binary thing and they're like, you got to love the process. And like you do, but you also should care about the result.
Yeah.
But when it comes to setting goals, you should emphasize the process because that's all you can control,
Yeah. And the process will yield the result. Like I can say I want to, like one of my goals this year is to learn. It's like I want to get to this level in terms of learning on this position or this attack in jiu-jitsu, whatever it is, and I can work at that for the whole year, but if I don't, at the end of it, if I don't feel like I've gotten to that position that I wanted to be at, I mean the process could have had a lot of ups and downs, but I still didn't get the result at the end, and so there's still an element of failure in there, which again, that's part of it, that's on me,
And also a lot of goals will like lead you other directions. So maybe you're like, hey, I want to learn about this position, and in learning about whatever position it is, you're like, actually I learned this isn't for me, but this kind of like tangentially related position is for me,
I'm it's a little bit off topic there, but I'm like super into like butterfly effect type things, but that's that type of thinking has always fascinated me, like the idea that if I had just never watched Warrior, like
oh my goodness,
I don't know,
like would have given you water in between rounds, you would have lost.
I don't know if I'd be here, there's so many. I find a lot of like that butterfly effect style of thought really interesting. So yeah, there's obviously along the way things will come, things will happen and improve, but goal wise, I want my goals to be difficult yet something that will force me to be accountable. You know, if I achieve them or if I don't achieve them, it's because I did something right or I did something wrong. That's where I'm at long term. I'm like, I want to be the perfect fighter, and short term, of course, I want to be entertaining. I want to have I do want to win titles. It drives me crazy to no end that all of my wins are by decision. I hate that. So I'm looking to fix that. But I also went into the Caruso fight looking to fix that, and I kind of went a little gun crazy trying to get him out of there. So, there's give and take to everything. But those are like short-term goals. I'm like, I want to fix the fact that I have 100% decision rate on my wins, That's something keeps me up at night.
You should try, like, did you ever think about trying to knock him out?
Dude, I tried to knock Pal's ass out so hard.
Like when you punch him, instead of just trying to punch him, do you ever think of like knock him out with
this
it?
punch is gonna knock him out? Yeah.
So you throw a jab, you throw a cross, you throw a hook. Do you ever think about throwing a knockout punch? That's usually
not enough, dude. Not enough apparently. I gotta fix that.
Yeah, Coach Will, do you have any advice for Max based off of what he told us?
Oh man, I mean, keep doing what you're doing. You're doing a lot of really good things. I would say, yeah, actually, I think I do have good advice. I would say you're already pretty far ahead for your age in terms of how you think about a lot of these things. And I think something that I've learned, again, much later than you in life, that you can start to figure out is it's not always what you're doing, it's also what you're not doing. And those are two very different things, and you should put equal thought into both of them.
Whoa, that was crazy, dude.
Yeah, and in certain and I'm not saying like, oh, I'm not doing this, I should be doing this, but also like, I am doing this. Why? Like maybe I shouldn't be. You know what I mean? And like, again, just think about those two things as like. Again, a lot of people have to-do lists. They have, I got to do this, I got to do this, I got to do this, but they don't think very often about like what I shouldn't be doing and like a not to-do list type of thing.
Yeah.
And again, that's a very just like broad strokes way of explaining that. But yeah, I think that kind of thinking would be beneficial.
Yeah, that's cool. Like my not to-do list. Like, should I be sitting here drinking beers? I should.
That sounds like something you should be doing.
But I mean, right there, like that's a really good example of like something that you, in that same vein, have figured out. You know what I mean? Is like, if someone was like, like some of the fighters on the team, they were boozing real hard, they got into some trouble. Who do you think it was? I'm not going to be like, oh, it was Max. I'm going to be like, no, Max was at home, like being like, like watching fights, like being a good person. You know what I mean? And
just
like
sitting in the dark watching fights.
And like whether that's like a conscious decision or not on your part to like, not party too hard and whatever. But like, just like apply that thinking to everything.
Yeah.
Nice. My advice to you, so speaking to like your long-term goals, like, wanting to fight pro and ultimately become a coach, right? I would definitely not rush to coaching. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Like don't like it's good to have that in the back of your head. And one of the things that I think knowing that you're going to be a coach can do, it can give you purpose for a lot of like tough times. Mm-hmm. Like if like things aren't, maybe catch a loss here or there, you can kind of be like, okay, well, I learned this from it, and maybe that value can go to me moving forward, but that value is definitely going to go to somebody. That's definitely something that helped me get through some maybe tougher times of my career. Is like, all right, well, you know what I mean? Like, this didn't go great for me, but I learned this, and I'll be able to apply it to myself moving forward, but maybe even more so, more times over and over to my fighters in the future. But one of the great things of like putting an emphasis and a focus on your fighting career first is you get to live two lives,
mm-hmm.
And like, like one of them's going to be there. One of them's going to go away and it's never going to come back.
Yep.
So you don't want to rush to coaching. Knowing it's going to be there in the long term is great. Preparing for it is great. It can only help you as a fighter. But don't let it you're 21, you're so far away from it. But like, maybe you think back on this when you're 33 and you're thinking about it, mm-hmm. right? Don't let it rush you into retirement because there is something else.
Mm-hmm. I don't think you meant it in a coaching sense when you said it, but I remember after I fought at the casino, my first MMA fight, like getting the wraps taken off me in the back, you were like, I'm like very like seriously and distinctly like got in front of me and you were like, I want you to like enjoy all of this because this isn't going to last forever. Mm-hmm. I know you say that to a lot of the guys on the team, but I remember that was something I needed to hear at that time was, not just like have fun, enjoy it, this is your moment, but like enjoy this, have fun, soak it all in, because this isn't going to be here forever. You know, that was cool. I still think about that.
Yeah,
I remember that very well.
it's true. I think it's. I think I get a lot of credit for being a pretty decent coach. I think that's one of the best things I do.
Yeah.
Agreed.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Cool. What do you guys got next? Wrap it up.
Yeah.
What about you, Max?
You got anything?
Dude, I could talk fights. There's so many different avenues like I could go down with this, just because this is like, you guys have families and lives and stuff. I'm like, all I think about is like fighting stuff.
Dude, we were 21.
Yeah, dude, I was gonna say.
No, I mean now it's like,
I know what that's like, bro.
I know you know what it's like.
I
I'm just
only had
saying
kids
now.
for 5 years, dog. Like I remember freedom.
Now
I
it's
remember
like,
choosing when I wake up.
yeah. Now it's like, that's all I could do a 9-hour episode just talking about different fights and different ways that guys inspired me and guys that I like to watch, and breaking down different story elements, and there's so many different things.
Why is Peter Yan your favorite fighter?
He's got, oh man, he has, I think, like such a cool, especially like Prime.
I've got so many good jokes I'm not pulling. Go ahead.
I could censor anything you want to say.
No, go.
All right. Jan to me has like, he's got such a cool combination of, technically, he's so good at everything. Like he's so technically skilled.
Yeah.
But he's also got that kind of like, he's got that kind of fuck you swagger. You know what I mean?
A little bit of that meanness.
He's got that meanness, and he's got that he's like dirty and mean, but he's also just like, I'm better than you, and I know it. And I'm technically like, a lot of guys can like out technical and out point you and everything, but they kind of have that like suave leather jacket style to them where they just kind of boom 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 boom, done, in the trash, next one. Jan's like, he's technically better than a lot of these guys, and he chooses to be like, no, I'm gonna like hurt you for this. You know, like I'm like, I'm gonna make you suffer because you wanted to do this. I told someone about it last week. One of my favorite moments from a fight ever is when Jan fought Uriah Faber. There's a point in the fight where they're like, it's like the second round, I think, and they both kind of like smile at, like someone like throws a shot, they both kind of smile at each other, stick their tongues out, that type of thing. And Jan sticks his tongue out at Faber and kind of lowers his hands, like lowering his guard a little bit. And then Faber does the same thing. He sticks his tongue out and kind of like takes his foot off the gas for a sec. And at that moment, Jan comes down the pipe and chucks a 1-2 at him. And it's not like he faked the glove touch or anything, but just in that moment, like he's like, I'm good. And then he chucks at him. And Faber goes down, and Faber gets back up, and there's a moment there where he's got him up against the cage, and he's got like a body lock up against the cage. Who has the body lock,
Faber or Jan?
Jan has Faber in a body lock, and so Jan is facing like 11, 12 o'clock o'clock, right? Faber is facing like 3 o'clock on the cage. I got you. Right? Mm-hmm. And they're up on the cage, and they're right in front of the commentary. So DC is talking about it, and he's like, "Oh, Faber's looking at his wife and kids," and Faber is looking through the cage at his wife and kid, his little kid, and he's like giving his wife and kid the thumb up, like he's okay, he's okay. And Jan is looking over Faber's back at one of his friends in the crowd, and he points at Faber and goes, "Watch this," and chucks a knee into an elbow as Faber breaks off. And it's in that moment where Faber is looking at his wife and kid, and he's like, "Daddy's okay." Jan's like, check this shit out. And then I'm like, that's one of the hardest fucking things I've ever seen. That is so cold-blooded.
Yeah, that's pretty intense. That. You gotta have that. You gotta have that.
You gotta have that meanness if you want to be one of the greats.
Especially if you want to be a finisher.
Yeah, dude. Think about
if you want to entertain
Adesanya after he knocks out Poatan, right? First off, hits him with the arrows, and then he runs up to his kid and hits the same celebration that the kid did on him, like 6 years before or whatever.
Yeah, man. I'm petty in there. You know what I mean? Like you've seen it.
You gotta be.
I like hit people. When I fought last November, I kicked I'm big on low kicks, right? I like my low kicks. The first time I kicked this kid in the leg, I remember watching it on the replay. I kicked him in the leg. I kind of looked at him and I was like, "Ooh!" And I said something to him, and you could see you in the corner smile. You're like, yeah, just like seeing that was like I had that little swagger there. I'm a petty motherfucker when I fight. Like I'm all of my fights, except for maybe that one in November. Like I've talked to the guy in the cage. And part of it's like I stay loose. I have fun. I like to talk when I'm fighting, but like I'm petty when I fight. You know what I mean? I like to be dirty with it.
Yeah. Again, I think that winning and being mean are separate things, but I think when you have both of them,
Yeah.
that's when you get the Anderson Silvas, the John Jones, the, Adesanyas.
Yeah, guys like that, there's sequences, not just yawn, but like sequences from fights where it's like they go deeper than sport. It's like, it's not just
Yes.
about this guy being good at the fight, this guy being good at MMA, this guy being better at MMA, and they're fighting. It's like they're fighting, but then one of them takes it to like a human level where he's like for real though, on a human level, I'm better than you.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I love that. I love that so much. That's so cool to me.
It really is.
I like that kind of gritty.
And you know what that all comes back to? Watching Warrior as a kid.
Yeah, dude.
Bro, yeah.
Exactly, man. Yeah, I
So-
love that.
How important was Mike Tyson biting Evander Holyfield's ear off to
Dude, I didn't know what that was until years later.
you? Yeah, I mean, that happened in, like, the 90s?
Yeah.
Well, it definitely was the 90s. 96, maybe. I don't know.
I was like
And Max was
virtually.
born, like,
The same year that Samrock won the Olympics.
yeah.
I was aware of boxing like growing up, but I never like. Dude, I remember when I first started training, when I first started like learning about MMA, I thought kickboxing was just, you were like literally, it was like boxing because it was in a ring, but you were only allowed to kick. I thought that's what made it kickboxing, was just guys.
That's
There was like
hilarious.
boxers, but with kicking, So it should have just been called kicking instead of kickboxing.
Yeah, that's hilarious.
I had no idea what it was. Like I said, I didn't know the difference between a cross and a hook. All kinds of stuff like that. We're like looking back at it, I'm like, man, that's
Dude,
crazy.
that is crazy. It's not even that long ago that you didn't know, it's safe to say 2018, you didn't know the difference between a cross and a hook.
No, I
Right?
didn't.
Yeah.
That means, like, I was, like, done with my MMA
Yeah.
career. And
Wow.
Max was like, what's a cross? What's a hook?
And like I would still, like I said, I'm still throwing punches at people, but like I couldn't. If you'd asked me, like, what did you just throw? I'm like, my right hand.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
You might have been good, but you didn't know why.
Dude, I had no. I mean, I don't get me wrong. I got my ass kicked plenty of times, like before I started training and everything. Which is, I was telling someone the other day, it's fucked up because since I started training, I haven't had any like physical altercations with people
Good, you
outside of
shouldn't.
the gym.
Yeah,
I've been
you
close.
shouldn't.
I've been close,
Unless you
but
want
I've
to.
never like had
No, I'm just kidding.
any
You shouldn't.
altercations like that. It was only when I didn't know how to fight that I would fight people.
Yeah, dude.
you know?
Most people who are like willing to scrap
Yeah,
don't know.
Yeah.
yeah, man. But yeah, there was not long ago. I had no idea the difference between any of these things.
Yeah.
I remember
it's like
watching-
how far you've come in a short time. Like, because that's to you, it might seem like a long time, right?
Yeah.
Like 6 years.
Yeah, that's like a massive percentage of your lifetime, but but that's still
It
short.
is.
Yeah,
It's like damn near a third.
yeah.
Yeah.
Watching Warrior introduced me to like whatever the concept of an omoplata was. I was like, I don't know what that is, but it's so
Yeah.
It's
cool.
just a triangle choke on your shoulder.
I remember watching Warrior and being like, oh, so the defense to a guillotine, the defense to a guillotine is just to go wrap over under the leg and then slam them on their head. And
Yeah.
I saw you do it like a couple months ago, and I was like, holy shit, that's real.
That was really the defense.
I was like, wait a minute, it's the bell curve thing. Where I was like, this is the defense. I was like, this is the defense to it. That's not the defense. Holy shit, that's the defense.
Oh my god, it's the defense.
That's actually real. Yeah.
That's hilarious.
Yeah, that's funny. Wait, hold on. The omoplata. Do you know the omoplata story? You know,
I was
right?
about to say.
I don't know.
So like we were
Oh, this is
cornering
in
fights.
in what, Kentucky?
No, this was
it's in Ohio.
This is in Ohio in Akron.
Akron, yeah.
At the Shriners in Akron.
Was this with Warren in the back where he
Warren
was like,
was in the
yeah,
back.
yeah, yeah.
AJ and Luke Burdett were fighting that night.
That's right.
And a dude comes in. He had just got omoplata.
He's got ice on his shoulder.
Yeah.
And he goes, I don't know what he did. He put a triangle choke on my shoulder. He called it an omoplata. And Warren stood up and walked out.
He was like, I can't handle this.
He's like, I gotta get out of here, dude. I can't be in here anymore.
I almost pissed myself laughing. It was so funny.
Dude, this is totally unrelated, but I've heard legends of Luke Burdett for years. I've
Bruh.
never actually seen him. And then I was sitting, me and Jonas, on a Saturday, like 2 weeks ago after practice, we went to go get food. We were sitting outside at the strip district, and someone came by, and Jonas went up and greeted him and came back and sat down, and he was like, you ever met Luke? And I was like, what? He's like, it was Luke Burdett. And I was watching this like this like 5'6" monster of a man walk away. And I was like, that's Luke Burdett? He was like, yeah, dude, like used to be with us. He was fighting at 45. I was like, that thing made 45?
Bro, he's
When?
low key, one of the best fighters ever in Pittsburgh.
Yeah,
I've heard,
100%.
dude.
Yeah.
I've heard.
Dude,
like,
we were all like,
I've never trained with
we
him.
were all
I've
like
never met him.
undefeated pros, and he would just beat the shit out of us.
Dude, in the practice room, no lie, UFC level.
Yeah,
Dude, I've heard that he never lost a round
Yeah,
in,
dude.
in training.
yeah, it was just so good. Also, had to like damn near twist his arm to get. Well, I mean, it was hard as hell to give him a black belt. So
Yeah.
the order of operations, I get my black belt first, right, and then Luke was supposed to be second. So I got my black belt March of 2019. Luke would be the next promotion because he was like one. He always got what I got my purple belt. He got his next. I got my brown belt. He got his next, and so forth. So it was time for his. We couldn't get him to come. Couldn't get him to show up. He did not want to be a black belt, right? Like imposter syndrome or something. And it took until me being like, "Yo, Luke, like you're ruining this for everyone else, right? No one else can get there until you get yours. Like there's an order, you know? What I mean?
yeah.
Like how could he be a black belt if you're not, you know?" And I was like, "It's not for you. It's for the gym." And that got him to show up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
I was
cool.
like, this black belt's not yours. It's ours. Show
Yeah.
up and get it. And then he finally showed up. And now I
pretty
got to
cool.
try to figure out how to give him his first degree because he's
You just gotta
like
sneak it.
years overdue for that now too.
On a Wednesday night, he's
That's
in the
wild.
gi.
You would have got your black belt like a couple months before I started training,
Yeah.
but I've only ever known you as a black belt.
Yeah. I was.
crazy.
But you
Oh, that's
started in.
wild.
Yeah, right.
Oh wait, hold on.
March
did
of
you
20
start?
I would have started jiu-jitsu in like August or September of 2019.
Oh, so I was already a black belt.
Yeah.
Yeah. That is crazy. You've only known me as a black belt.
Yeah.
Look at that. That's all. That's all you'll ever know me as.
And I never got to be
greatest.
around, like, I was around a little bit, I think, but I never got to be like around with like fighting Jonas, fighting Mike.
Yeah.
I've
Oh,
never
dude.
heard the stories.
Wild times,
I've never heard the stories of
I
these
can't believe
days.
how long it's been.
I know.
It's crazy. But we were not good people.
That's what I heard. Yeah.
Yeah. I love, so one of my favorite things is like, you know, you get the stories from Jonas about like how it used to be. And like, you know, like Sage will perpetuate like how like not cool I was and like so forth. But like a lot of the fighters are like, struggle to believe them.
Yeah, Mike, they're like, Mike's so nice.
And I'm literally one generation removed. Like the next generation to come through, not only are they not going to believe it because I'm not like that anymore, but you guys never saw it, so you're not going to perpetuate it.
Yeah.
So it's literally, I'm like one more generation away from a fully fresh start, and no one ever remember that I was an asshole.
I didn't think about that. Do you see any of that now with the fight team as it stands now, where you look at guys and you're like, you know, a couple years down the line, they're going to mellow out and this is just going to be like a crazy different story?
I think that we've cultivated a really good, like, you know, environment to where people can have that in-cage meanness and not need to be a dick in real life. You know what I mean? And I
Yeah.
think that back in our day, it all kind of smushed together.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
It
It
was
was
hard.
like, we couldn't like enjoy the process and just like be cool dudes and then just like go and perform in the
Yeah.
cage and like be mean.
You were dirty in the cage. You were just
We
a
were
dirty
just like,
person
we need to
overall.
be hard all the time.
Yeah.
And like,
That makes sense.
that.
It was weird though, like, because we went through like ebbs and flows. Like we went through like, when I came up, our sparring was a real fight.
Yeah.
Also, we would, no shin guards, 4-ounce gloves.
Yeah, just what Jonas said. I was like, that's wild.
Yeah, we were real fighting, and then we went like a little too far the other way, where I didn't wear little gloves for the last like 4 years of my career. Right? It was all big gloves, all shin guards, all like safety. You
Yep.
know, it's like, oh, you know how to fight. You don't need to waste it in the gym. But I think there is like some need to fight in the gym.
Yeah, I
know?
feel that now. Like what was it? A couple of months ago, we lost power in Monroeville, and I was like, we should just go bare shins for this. Like, I feel like there's more, and a lot of this also comes from listening to you talk about it and trying to perpetuate that to some other people, is being like, I think that we should have more. There's a big movement now where it's like, don't be like, no hard sparring, right? And obviously hard sparring should be limited. You don't want to like get destroyed, but a lot of people aren't comfortable just like having to scrap. You know what I mean? And one of the things that you said to me that like really, I told you this the other day, I was like, this it, like changed my thought around fighting and training since then, was like, people get hit. And because we've gamified the sport so much, people get hit and they're like, oh, that was a point against me. Instead of being like, I just got punched in the face.
Yeah.
I'm going to punch you in the face now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Right,
And
yeah.
especially people who didn't, like, before they trained, who didn't come up, like, just fighting and, like, looking for that kind of, like, that give one, get hit back, that type of thing. People who didn't look for that, it's been gamified so much where it's like, oh, I just got a point scored against me. Oh, there's another point scored against me. Instead of it being like, yo, you're punching and kicking me right
You're
now.
still fighting.
Like, I'm gonna punch and kick you now.
Yup.
You
Yeah.
know what I mean? And I think that that's definitely. I'm gonna say an advocate, even though I'm not a coach right now. But I try to be an advocate for, like, if anyone wants to get those bare shin rounds in, or if, like, I get that sometimes there's people. First of all, yeah, bare shin rounds. Big fan of that, especially because a lot of people don't kick. Whatever.
Yeah.
People take the shin guards off and they're like, "Well, now I'm just not going to kick." I'm like, "So you're
Yeah.
not going to kick in a fight?"
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
we're just not going to kick now. But the other thing is, like, there's, you know, it's no secret. There's people who will, like, avoid other people sometimes because they're like, "Oh, this guy's going to go hard. This guy's going hard this week or this month or whatever." And I'm always, in the gym, pride myself on being like, "No, I will openly volunteer to get those rounds in because I know that that's something that is going to help both of us a lot."
Right,
And
yeah.
there's a time and place for it. Am I getting, like, hard sparring rounds in 3 nights a week? Like, no. But it's like, you know, me and Lucas are both in fight camp, and a lot of other people are going to be avoiding because it's going to be hard rounds. And I'm like, this is going to make both of us better. You know what I mean? I think that a lot of people take the push nowadays for less hard sparring, more light sparring as kind of an excuse to be like, no, I don't want to go hard ever in the gym.
Right.
It's going to make me worse. And you'll still have people that will think like that and still be dogs in the gym or in the cage. But I do think that it hurts. It's like being a dog and getting beaten up is one thing, but being a dog and going after it is different. And I feel like it kind of hurts the latter part there
Yeah,
if you
I
don't
agree.
have that
And it's
experience.
not binary. It's not like we have to spar light or we have to spar hard. It's like, it's periodization.
Right.
Sometimes we spar light.
Yeah.
Sometimes we spar hard.
The difficulty to it with a sport like MMA is we're not a team in
Yep.
the sense of, like, a team sport, right?
Yeah.
Like, even a sport like individually, like wrestling, there's still more of a team aspect to it because we are all competing on the same dates. You know, rather like, you know, like, it's still individual in wrestling, like, and in college boxing, for example, right? It's individual, but, like, you're wrestling this team on this date. The conference tournament is this date. The national tournament is this date.
Yeah.
So we're all peaking at the same time. Whereas we have fighters fighting August 31st, fighters fighting September 6th, fighters fighting October 11th, fighters fighting November 8th. Like, you know what I mean? And it's like, so everybody is at different areas of their periodization. And, you know, and, like, then, like, you've got your weight classes who you can train with. And, like, it's like, oh, okay. Well, it'd be sick if all our 35ers were fighting on September 6th.
Right.
It'd be sick if all our 45ers were fighting on October 11th. Like, you know
Yeah.
what I mean? Right? But that's not the case. So it's like, all right, well, he needs to be going lighter. Well, he needs to be going heavier. And, like, you know, here's our basket of what
Yeah.
to pull from.
Dude, they should do that. They should run, like, flyweight card, and then a bantamweight card, and then a featherweight card, and
Yeah.
then just, like, you know,
I'd be interested
see who puts on the best card.
Yeah, I'd be interested to see what the turnout looks like for that. Like, how does tickets sell for an all welterweight card versus an all bantamweight card? You know,
All flyweights, it'd be me and Mike.
Yeah, dude.
that's what I was thinking. Yeah, probably wouldn't have that many people for it, but I'm sure they would show out. You know,
Yeah.
a lot of, especially like locally, you guys, Tim, you know, Drizzy, when he was around, you know, back in the day, Jonas, like, we've got a lot of good flyweights around here. You know,
Yeah, dude.
Oh, dude, we had a flyweight squad.
Tariq.
AJ was a flyweight, 2-division
AJ.
champ.
yeah, AJ.
Kyle's coming through all the time.
Kyle was a flyweight. Yeah,
There's a
yeah.
lot of solid flyweights coming up right now.
Yep.
we are a small person team.
Oh, yeah.
Like,
I mean, that's where the best quality
James
MMA
Padmore,
is.
James Padmore was a 205er, you know, 5-0 amateur
Yeah.
career title. You know,
He's a middleweight now, isn't he?
yeah, he fought. He won his last pro fight at middleweight. It potentially may have been a catchweight at 195.
I don't know.
I can't quite remember, but yeah. But either way, like, generally we are. I mean, we
Yeah.
have Bronco now who fights any weight.
Yeah.
But generally speaking, like,
The vast, I would say 70% of our team is
Under
lightweights or
155,
under.
Yeah.
yeah, cool. All right, hey. Well, I think this was a great episode. Hopefully, you guys enjoyed meeting Max, putting him in front of the camera for about half of it.
Almost 2 hours right there.
Almost 2 hours.
Yeah.
And, you know, we had the camera for a little bit portion of it. I was trying to give Max camera time, but, like, camera hates him. Shut her down. Shut her down.
It's all right.
Yeah, but that's it. Max, you got any closing words you want to say to people?
Be a dog.
That's it. Bark. Right on. This was a great episode of Listen to Your Coaches, and we will catch you next week.